By the end of this lecture, learners will be able to make the difference between language and dialect. Define the characteristics of language and dialect. Identify the linguistic criteria, social and cultural factors. Describe the key concepts related to the richness of human linguistic diversity. Hello everyone and welcome. This lecture explores the importance of understanding linguistic variation, with a sharp focus on the characteristics of language and dialect. If you're interested in learning more about linguistics, then, welcome to the UNIV-ENGLISH channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, and also smash the notification bell, so you don't miss any of our new videos. So, let's begin with this question. What is the difference between language and dialect? Language and dialect are fundamental aspects of human communication and expression. Understanding the distinctions and complexities between languages and dialects provides valuable insights into the richness of human linguistic diversity and the intricate relationship between language and society. Language and dialect are two terms that are often used interchangeably, but they have distinct meanings and characteristics. Language. Language refers to a complex and abstract system of communication used by humans to convey meaning, express thoughts and emotions, and interact with others. It is a structured system of symbols, sounds, and grammar that allows for the exchange of information between individuals or groups. Language is not limited to spoken or written forms but also encompasses sign languages and other modes of communication. Characteristics of language. Productivity. Language enables speakers to create and understand an infinite number of novel utterances, allowing for the expression of new ideas and concepts. Displacement. Language allows speakers to refer to things, events, and ideas that are not present in the immediate context or time. Arbitrariness. The relationship between linguistic forms, words or signs, and their meanings is primarily arbitrary and conventionally agreed upon within a particular linguistic community. Cultural transmission. Language is learned and passed down from one generation to another through social interactions and cultural processes. Grammar. Languages have a set of rules and structures governing the formation of words, sentences, and meaning. Grammar includes syntax, morphology, and phonology. Multilingualism. Many individuals and communities are proficient in more than one language, leading to multilingualism and language contact situations. Dialect. A dialect refers to a particular form or variety of a language spoken by a specific group of people within a geographical or social community. Dialects are characterized by variations in vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, and usage, which distinguish them from other dialects or the standard variety of the language. Dialects often arise due to geographical isolation, historical factors, or social and cultural influences. Characteristics of dialects. Variation. Dialects exhibit variation in pronunciation, accent, vocabulary, lexicon, grammar, syntax, and usage patterns. Regional or social identity. Dialects are linked to specific regions or social groups, contributing to the formation of individual and group identities. Mutual intelligibility. Dialects within the same language may vary in their degree of mutual intelligibility, which refers to the ability of speakers of different dialects to understand each other. Continua. Dialects often exist along a continuum, with gradual linguistic changes occurring across neighboring regions or social groups. Prestige and stigmatization. Some dialects may be associated with higher social status, prestige dialects, while others may be stigmatized or considered non-standard. Dialectal variation. Dialectal variation can occur at different levels, ranging from phonetic and phonological differences to lexical and syntactic variations. It's important to note that the distinction between language and dialect is often complex and influenced by various social, political, and cultural factors. The categorization of a linguistic variety as a language or dialect can be subjective and context-dependent, and it may involve considerations beyond linguistic criteria. Language versus dialect, linguistic criteria. When distinguishing between languages and dialects, linguists consider several linguistic criteria. While no single criterion is definitive, a combination of factors is examined to determine the classification. Here are some linguistic criteria commonly used to differentiate between languages and dialects. 1. Mutual intelligibility. Mutual intelligibility refers to the ability of speakers of different varieties to understand each other. If speakers from two speech communities can comprehend each other's speech without significant difficulty, the varieties are often considered dialects of the same language. However, if mutual intelligibility is limited or absent, the varieties may be classified as separate languages. 2. Phonological differences. Phonology examines the sound systems of languages and dialects. Linguists compare the phonetic inventories, pronunciation patterns, and phonological rules across varieties. If there are substantial differences in these aspects, it suggests separate languages. However, shared phonological features do not necessarily indicate dialectal status, as dialects within a language can have unique phonetic variations. 3. Grammatical differences. Grammar encompasses the rules and structures governing the formation of words, sentences, and meaning. Analyzing grammatical variations is crucial in language-dialect differentiation. If there are significant differences in morphological systems, syntactic structures, or grammatical rules, it suggests separate languages. However, shared grammatical features or minor variations in grammar may indicate dialectal status. 4. Lexical differences. Lexicon refers to the vocabulary of a language or dialect. Comparing lexical items can provide insights into language-dialect distinctions. If there are substantial differences in core vocabulary, where speakers from different varieties use distinct words for the same concepts, it suggests separate languages. However, shared lexical items or minor variations in vocabulary may indicate dialectal status. 5. Writing system. The presence of distinct writing systems can influence the classification of linguistic varieties. If two varieties have different writing systems, or if one variety is typically written while the other lacks a standardized written form, it may suggest a language-dialect distinction. However, shared writing systems do not necessarily imply dialectal status, as dialects within a language can use the same writing system. 6. Standardization and codification. The existence of a standardized form with codified grammar, spelling, and vocabulary can contribute to the classification of a variety as a language. Standardized languages often serve as the basis for formal education, official communication, and literature. Dialects, on the other hand, may have less codification and lack standardized forms. It's important to note that the application of these linguistic criteria may vary depending on the context and specific case being examined. Additionally, linguistic criteria alone may not be sufficient to determine the language-dialect distinction, as social, political, and cultural factors also play significant roles in the classification process. Language versus dialect, social and cultural factors. When distinguishing between languages and dialects, social and cultural factors play a crucial role alongside linguistic criteria. These factors can influence the perception, categorization, and differentiation of linguistic varieties. Here are some social and cultural factors to consider in the language-dialect distinction. 1. Social identity and group affiliation. Linguistic varieties are often associated with social and cultural identities. If speakers of a particular variety identify themselves as belonging to a distinct social or ethnic group, it may be more likely to be considered a separate language. Dialects, on the other hand, are often associated with regional or subgroup identities within a broader language community. 2. Political and historical factors. Political and historical circumstances can influence the classification of linguistic varieties. Language status may be influenced by political boundaries, nationhood, or colonial history. Political decisions, such as language policies or the recognition of official languages, can impact the categorization of varieties as languages or dialects. 3. Prestige and standardization. Prestige and the existence of a standardized form can contribute to the categorization of a variety as a language. If a particular variety is associated with political power, cultural influence, or higher social status, it may be deemed a separate language. Dialects, on the other hand, are often perceived as non-standard or lower in prestige compared to the standard variety of a language. 4. Language attitudes and perception. The attitudes and perceptions of speakers and society towards different linguistic varieties can influence their classification. Historical biases or linguistic prejudices may stigmatize certain varieties as dialects, while others are considered languages. Societal views on linguistic variation can be subjective and influenced by cultural norms and beliefs. 5. Intergenerational transmission. The intergenerational transmission of a linguistic variety can also impact its classification. If a variety is passed down through generations and serves as the primary means of communication within a community, it may be considered a separate language. Dialects, on the other hand, may be restricted to specific age groups or limited to certain domains of language use. 6. Language planning and policy. Language planning and policy decisions can affect the categorization of linguistic varieties. Official recognition, language legislation, and educational policies can influence whether a variety is considered a language or a dialect within a particular political and social context. It's important to note that social and cultural factors are intertwined with linguistic criteria in the language-dialect distinction. The perception and categorization of linguistic varieties can vary across different communities and contexts, making the distinction complex and multifaceted. Conclusion. The study of language and dialect is essential for understanding linguistic variation and its implications. It allows us to appreciate the richness and diversity of human communication and fosters cultural understanding and inclusivity. Understanding linguistic variation is not only important for academic purposes but also for practical applications. It can help in language preservation efforts, as endangered languages and dialects can be documented and revitalized. By recognizing and valuing different dialects and languages, we can foster inclusivity and respect for diverse linguistic communities. It can also challenge linguistic prejudices and stereotypes, promoting a more inclusive and equitable society.